G'day, Doggies fans, all things Bulldogs. Hope everyone is well on this very special day. It is Anzac Day, and I'm, um, blessed to be in the position I'm in due to the sacrifices that our service people made, our, cousins in New Zealand and Australia. I did an episode this day last year, and I read out my grandfather's diary. He died in the prisoner of war camp in World War II. He helped build the Burma Railway. He was in the Changi prison camp. He died of dysentery, like pretty much all of his mates. He was a baker. He was a musician. He was a bike rider, and very talented individual. And I made that. I read that out because at the time it had come into the papers that Jackson Torpenay was suing the club, and I just felt that, and it's always good to point out that there's a lot of fault. We lose a game and fans get distressed, and Jared Sutton was there, and it was on enemy territory, and there was a lot of Bulldogs fans there last night. You could have swore it was a home game. A lot of empty Broncos members seats, which I'm sure will be filled next time they play after they see the score. And if they watch the game at all, if you know what I mean. A lot of people not there because Reece Walsh not playing. He brings fans through the gates. He's got a lot of young fans that love him. And I've got some family members who adore Reece Walsh. I'll get into their heads as they get older, but I'm sure they'll be indoctrinated beyond repair by then. So look, it's a day whilst I'm completely against war, and there's our service people sign up for the toughest job in the world. They get told what to do, and they do it for the best interests of the country, always. Whether it's right or wrong is another story. But my grandfather, he went and signed up like most of them did. Most used to get condemned and basically get called a pansy if you didn't back in the day. But the thing is, the vast majority of people wanted to do it and wanted to go, and sacrificed a lot. And my mum was only 3 when he passed away. So there you go. That's Anzac Day. I hope everyone had a good morning and got to reflect on all the service people and all the volunteers, all the women, and so much help from our Indigenous Australians as well, which never get mentioned in world wars. So that being that, let's talk about the Bulldogs and the fallout out of that game, because we've now got 3 suspensions. I've got that scrolling along the ground. It's pretty easy to see who's going to come in, barring injury. Saluka Fafita will replace Curran. Bailey Hayward will move from the bench to replace Matty Burton. And then we will see, I believe, Lipboy Hopboy from the development squad will come in, because I think he's worthy of the next man call-up. And I think Curtis Moran will take his... So Lipboy Hopboy will step into that Satili Tupanua role, I believe, and Curtis Moran will come on as the replacement for Bailey Hayward on the bench. That's what I believe would happen. Jake Turpin won't be ready. He got injured in New South Wales Cup last week. I do believe he would have been one that they brought in. I don't think they'll bring Drew Hutchison into the side, but you never know. And it could also be an opportunity to carry the likes of a young Joey O'Neill, because it will be a Magic Round match. It'll be a hoodoo match, a game we haven't won at Magic Round, I don't think, ever. So we're not playing a Friday night this time, playing on a Sunday afternoon against effectively a home side in the Titans, which will have lots of support. And I think the majority of the crowd that are there will be going for the Titans, which is fine. I couldn't get a ticket, unfortunately. I saw Winston, one of the big Bulldog supporters. He's was selling some tickets for a 3-day pass if people wanted that. I don't want to go for 3 days. I love me rugby league, but I love me family more. And, except for on game day, they come second. It's club first, family second, podcast third. There we go. I'll get to some of your messages. Thanks to everyone who come on straight away. TM said, sadly, Broncos game for momentum from the first drop ball. They couldn't do a thing wrong after that. We can't put Sutton 100% to blame. We played like it was in 2023. Second half, we played a lot better. And I can't really disagree with that. Good comment. The damage was done and the sin bins cost us very much too. Scotty says to rip in. It was a big wake-up call for us. And thank you, Elaine, for joining the channel. Scotty says, and at the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them lest we forget. Yeah, well said, my friend. G'day, Sayed. Hope you're well. You're very keen to hear the thoughts on the first half. I'll give you my thoughts on the whole game. Hope you had a good night, Jamie says. Didn't come out with the win, but still sitting first. I think it's a good we came out with the loss now. Better for players' spirits at the back end of the year. Yeah, I think that's right, Jamie. Look, people say we're trying to polish a turd, but I was there at the game and I had some oversights that I saw from watching it live, as you do. It's hard, and I was very high up in the stands. Luckily, I was. If I was in an alcohol area, I think there would have been trouble because some Broncos fans are very fair weather. They don't care about the game of rugby league and what was happening out there. They can't see it. The game was being destroyed by by retrospective calls. And I agree with a couple of the suspensions in the end. But we'll talk about that. It's important to talk about how that all occurs because you've got second and third offences which come into play. And when some of those offences in the first instance that cost our players then add to a higher weighting the next time something happens, it really sort of calls the whole system into play. But we'll talk about that as well. Lots to get through on this special day. Thanks to everyone who's come in and joined the channel as well. Getting new members all the time, which is fantastic. It really helps. StreamYard used to be free, essentially. You could do a lot of this stuff that I do on here for free, but now they charge a lot, which has me looking for another provider. I don't cry to be poor or anything like that, but I will pay the money because I love to do what I do. But anyone who wants to support and throw us money, I really appreciate it. But if you don't have money, don't do it. Really prefer that you keep it for yourself and your family. But appreciate it. There's full appreciation there. Hope as long as I hope I sound grateful. G'day, Timmy, the first person ever joined the group. I'm much appreciated. We will bounce back in a big way against the Titans. Well, I believe we will as well. I think it's a good thing to have some youngsters coming in as well. It's another hoodoo we've got to break, and I'm going to look forward to that as well. I'll do my normal previews and stuff. When the Dogfather puts the sunnies on and does his preview. Look, at the end of the day, I'm always worried. And last night some things happened which cost us big time early. And look, I've listened to some comments for some people which start their chest beating. Their first loss and all of a sudden our fullback and our halfback and our hooker aren't good enough. And they point out the reasons why, and maybe they weren't good enough at different times in that match. There was definitely some things that players in important positions failed on last night. But I felt the way we earned every point that we got in that second half was very, very pleasing, considering the amount of duress we went through in that first half. But in saying that, we've had a lot of games running downhill, and the going got tough pretty early there, and mentally some players snapped. And that happens in rugby league. It's always going to happen. You can't be up every single game, every single week. And the fact that they'll be able to reset and some players are able to sort of make up for some of the stuff that happened. But I'm not going to hear of any of this people blaming Montoya and blaming Marnie and blaming Sexton and blaming Connor Tracy for the loss, because there was a lot of players out there that had little moments that if they go about differently, different outcomes occur. But I'm still proud of that side, the way they got together, and people will say it's polishing a turd. No, I echo Gus Gould's comments. Me and my daughter enjoyed that second half. We enjoyed giving it to the Broncos fans who thought they were going to get 65, 66 points or more, which effectively dismisses you from winning the comp, which is an important thing. I was angry at the last try. That really pissed me off, because I felt, to win that second half 18-2 would be a real good lift for the guys. But honestly, they still pushed up on that set. They all ran up. It was the last play of the game. Broncos were throwing caution to the wind. It was a good try in the end from that kick. And their kicking game won the day for them at the end of the day. Everything happened off the boot, and everything went right for them off the boot, off the footy. But we'll break it all down, guys. It's a pretty long introduction of 11 minutes. Yeah, thank you, Scotty. Much appreciations, mate. G'day, Jimmy boy. Good afternoon. Welcome. Been hearing a lot of people saying Montoya needs to be dropped and Wilson back in. What's your opinion? I believe it was just an off game. I don't think he had an off game. I think when you got 4 minutes left, you make two mistakes with the ball in the last 5 minutes of the match when you're trying to score 3 tries in 8 minutes. These things happen. Being caught in field, this is what people don't get. That's our style of play is to play that. I've got bigger issues with how, the try that Shibasaki scored. Stephen Crichton made 2 tackles in a row, and I've seen this exploited in a number of different ways amongst a number of teams. So if you go watch that footage of the Shibasaki try, Stephen Crichton makes a tackle. He then makes a really good legs tackle the next play. He was starting to feel the pinch. He sort of started jogging back. It was a little bit infield, just slightly on the right edge of mid. And Billy Walters, you look at him at dummy half, he sees exactly what's going on there. And the Dogs did not even attempt to adjust, and they just went around us. Not too many tries score like that. Ben Hunt throws that perfect ball, but they we were stuffed by them. We'd had no possession. We'd already made like 90 more tackles. Ended up making over 100 more in that first half. And I know we've had teams in that situation, and they've probably been more resilient than that. But at the end of the day, they've got the 2 best props in the comp, or 2 of the best middles in the entire competition, and they played really well. I felt we fought back a number of times against those guys. We forced Payne Haas into errors a couple of times. Literally drove him backwards like he's never been driven backwards before in a game. All the same, they were off a 5-day turnaround as well from New Zealand. That's not easy. It's not easy to do, which is why I knew they were going to come out really hard against us. And what it comes down to, Preston, as a look at the first part, he's got to be culpable for the bad start. It wasn't a really high pressure ball. We were playing it laterally to get everyone into the game early, knowing we're probably going to be kicking long from inside our 30 off the first set. They would have prepared for that. They thought about that. Presto has a look, drops the footy. Next play 2 or 3, I think. There's nothing happening in that set. All right. But you've got Payne, Huss and Carrigan and everyone at full speed. It's the worst time to concede. But at the same time, your defence is at full speed too, right? So, but Reed, for whatever reason, rushed out of the line, and we got thanks, James. Oh, 2 more members. Much appreciated, guys. That's amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That's wonderful. I really appreciate it. I don't know what to say. That's amazing. Yeah, look, I don't blame Reed Marnie. I credit Reed Marnie's arrival at the Dogs is one of the major reasons he's with the club. And whilst I don't expect he'll be here post 2026 with the age he'll be at, and with the amount of our young halves that are going to have to make careers at hooker and sort of come through that pathway of a Bailey Hayward, and the amount of young hookers they've recruited as well, like that halves academy is just going to produce a lot for us. Okay, and there's a lot of players in that mold, tough little bastards with lots of skill who can do it all. Who are probably doing drills right now on their own, passing off the deck, right? That's. I think we've started to see the sort of future evolve in the last couple of weeks, with Bailey Hayward playing 25 minutes and having to come on early. I think he would have come on for Reed after 55 minutes again. I think they were going to continue with that. And he was from the stands. I was saying it. I was messaging people. I actually didn't notice Reed was off the field when Burton come back on, but I was saying Bailey's playing really, really well. Next minute he's at hooker, and I'm going, he's actually throwing Reed Marnie footballs off the deck, and Sexton's hitting them on the advantage line. So yeah, I actually agree with the coach. Now, look, I'm going to step around this a little bit. There's been stuff in the media about Reed leaving and all this sort of stuff. I think you'll find there's a club that's forward planning, but needs Reed Marnie right now, needs him next year too, and who knows what happens after that. But there's also other clubs that would need Reed Marnie, and Reed Marnie be worthy of probably a bigger payday, to be honest. So I love the guy, and I'll always love Reed Marnie, even if he goes to another club at some point. So look, and everyone should value him. The two penalties against him, I could live with one as a 50-50. The other one, unbelievable. Next minute, there's a leg pull that they, give them another leg up. We're down to 12 men. Oh, it's a leg pull. Just marching them upfield all game. But we put ourselves under pressure. Preston drops a ball. Marnie runs out of the line. Now, if he's doing that as a blindside attack on someone, that's fine. But he was within Xavier Willison's. He was coming right at him, slightly at an angle, and it was just some footwork and behind our line. Like you just can't do that. You can't go one out. You got to hold the line. When you're speaking about this day in particular. And really good job. Well done to Suncorp Stadium. I love the Anzac ceremony, and I did a live from the stands on it. I thought they did it. That was wonderful. I really enjoyed that, and so did my daughter. So shout out to them. But look, I think when you've got a guy running out of the line like that, and that's what the coach was talking about. That was an individual play, and it cost us big time. And I think he'll know it, and I think he'll accept it, no matter what's going on in the background. I think he'll accept that was a fuck up. The two penalties that went against him, which cost us yardage, and what it comes down to, I was making this point before, but got distracted. Payne Huss and Carrigan, they took 52 hit ups between them in the match. Insane. And they just were able to, in that first half, running downhill, as little Jimmy said last night, they were on a bobsled going down on an ice track, you know. They were able to put their team in the positions on the field, and the Bulldogs for the first 6 weeks has been controlling where sides are sort of ending up. And a lot of homework was done to know where Tracy stands and where the boys defend. Like, those things didn't happen because individuals were in too far. Those things happened because the opposition was able to put itself where it wanted to be. Did get a leg up from the ref? You got to say it. But we need to be better than that. And this is where we get great learnings from it. So those kicks were all executed perfectly. 3 40-20s. When have you seen 3 40-20s in a match? When have you seen a halfback be able to just put 2 perfect chips for tries as well as 3 40-20s in a match? You know, they get the ball off a kick-out charge down. You know, part of you goes, why are you even bothering to charge down? Because he's putting in all the effort plays. They're still trying to lead by example. And in that second half, we won the yardage battle. And we didn't really do it with Burton's boots. So obviously, he's come back from an MCL. He's not going to kick all the time. He got a concussion. I reckon he was luckily not to be ruled out as a category 1 or whatever they call it, or category 2. I'm not sure. Whichever one where you get sent off and he can't play, because he nearly knocked himself out and he stumbled. He showed symptoms that they normally rule them out. Yeah, and look, our guys earned everything in that second half. A team can put the queue in the rack a little bit, but our wingers got back to work. Montoya had some really strong runs, so did Carraz. You know, Carraz getting pushed in a touch didn't help us. He was, you know, he's got a running style where the little fellas, you know, lead with the shoulder under the ball. If you're a big fella and you lead with the shoulder like that, sometimes you hit him in the head. And isn't that funny, eh? But it's some players out there had some moments. And when I sit there and hear synopsises and you know, analysing a whole game, you can't just point out the one failure by individuals, and then just rule that their whole game was shit and that they cost us big time. Because Reid Marnie, that kick that he did in behind was a really good kick. It was a 40-20 attempt, but it was really well placed and set us up, and good stuff happened out of that. In that, you know, eventually after that, it was a really good kick. Plus, he put his body on the line. He gets, you know, he's just a absolute little dog out there and tries his hardest, but it wasn't his best game, no. And also felt there was some passing options which were wrong by the halfback and by the hooker at different times. You know, where we just probably, you know, bit off more than we could chew. Where they needed to play some footy at different times and didn't play it in that first half. And I can understand why, because they were tired already. They're under sufferance. Just nothing went right for us. And I think it sets us up. I think those individuals will know where they stepped out of line, where they did things they could do differently and bring it back to the team. And that'll set us up no matter who comes into the squad, which I'm very confident will be the players that I have already said. So let's get back to it. Scotty, g'day Bulldogs fan. That hurt. Sure did, Big Roo. Yeah, Big. I was talking with I actually spoke to about 10 or 12 other people, people on the train, and it's the same thing. We've never seen the Dogs win at Suncorp. And the thing that happened is there was a lot of people who I have seen us win at Suncorp. But for most of the times for the last 8 years, it's been loss, Magic Round loss. And a lot of players, a lot of fans that I spoke to didn't go watch us last year when we ambushed the Broncos. So everyone feels like they're the jinx at Suncorp. Like my daughter, she's like, "Oh, Dad, every time I come with you to the Suncorp we lose. Yeah, and she was actually getting a bit sad about it all, but she ended up having a great time the second half. We're actually laughing at Viliami Kikau rubbing Adam Reynolds on the head. It's like, oh, are you all right, Adam? Oh, did we tackle you too hard? Oh, you better send us off. You know, I mean, we're having a good old time. But yeah, I got stuck into some of the crowd. You know, when you cheer and players being sin bin, and I know our fans would do it as well, but when those sin bins, when a team's already had 2 players sin bin, and then they do the Montoya one for multiple infringements is what they did it. You know, that's Sutton exploiting arrogance. You know, that's like when he sin binned our players in South Sydney matches on Good Friday. You know, Jeremy Marshall King for us having three penalties in a row after we were winning 6-0 and dominating the game, you know, and just took the game away from us, and then just not the resilience to deal with it, that sort of stuff. And he's just going to do that, and he's going to continue to do it and get away with it. And there was a reason why he didn't referee us last week, was because they didn't want 65,000 Bulldogs fans throwing bottles at him. And there was a reason he was appointed this away game, because they knew it was going to be a big occasion and a big night. And you know, I think on a dry track, this game goes a little bit differently. But there was definitely some stuff there which the Dogs needed to learn from that match, about what we and for the coach as well. Like, what's the plan B and plan C when you're not getting the rub of the green, when you're not getting those players, the opposition, to sort of, you know, they're breaking through that first contact a little bit. They're getting on a roll. They've got really good forwards doing a good job. How do we adjust to that? What do we do from that? But look, Adam Reynolds, that was the best game I've ever seen him play. And he's played some good ones against us, you know. So there you go. Jamie, yeah, I was there. Got a bit of shit from fans, but it was a good night other than the loss. I'll have to catch up with you next time, mate. I saw Valerio Batista there. He's been a big fan of all things Bulldogs, and we have some arguments politically, but what an absolute gentleman. Come over and spoke for 20 minutes before the game. Had his 2 kids there. He came up from the Blue Mountains to watch the Dogs play. Scotty says 3 players looking at a combined 13 weeks on the sidelines. Yeah, it's 9 weeks, Scotty. Unless they appeal it, they're not going to appeal it. They're going to accept every single one of those. G'day, Demetra. Welcome. Demetra is an absolute Bulldogs tragic. I got to meet Demetra and a lovely family. You know, thank you for coming on and saying hello, Demetra. You know, she absolutely loves the Bulldogs, is at every single game. Her and John and her 2 beautiful kids. And, you know, they just support. No more faithful supporters than Demetra and the children. And, you know, the club knows them. And I just love watching watching Layla just, you know, tell the players that she's getting a photo with them. And I think they got some nice boots from Josh Curran, mate. Oh, it was from Jacob Preston. Yeah, that was great. So, yeah, I saw Layla last week on the TV too. Next to what's his name, Scotty, the fellow who wears the makeup and stuff, dresses as a Joker. She was right beside him, having a good laugh. So that was great to see. G'day, Timmy. Demetra, anyone knows when the captains put the roofs down, Crit was saying something, Reynolds was eager to leave? Yeah, I'm not sure, mate. Not sure. Could have been something there. But Crit, look, when he made those 2 tackles and we were left isolated and the team didn't measure up, you know, he doesn't do as many runs. But you look at Katoni Staggs, you know, if he's playing in that same game and he's on the Bulldogs side, he's only having 4 or 5 runs. Those players are there for what they do in defence and the energy they bring in situations. And Summer Critters, I love when he put that chip in for Cobbo and he ran and he threw the Broncos player out of the way that was stopping him, was in his way getting to Cobbo, and then just smashed him with the shoulder. And he did it a number of times. Like, I hope Cobbo gets picked for Origin. I really do, because Critter's got a fucking target on him, and I loved it. And it inspired us a little bit. We were obviously a lot better when Harry Hayes and Kurt Mann come on. They tried to do their job. Satilia was out there throwing himself at stuff, but in that type of conditions, it's cost him 5 weeks. I felt the first charge where they've said that he's gone in with a shoulder charge. That was absolute bullshit. Absolute bullshit. Josh Curran's shoulder charge, though, if that's seen by a referee, penalty, sin bin, whatever. Seen by the bunker, okay, play on. If it's missed, this is what I'm saying. When that contact happens in New South Wales Cup, if the touch judge and the ref don't see it, nothing happens, and it doesn't even make it to the judiciary. So why are we doing it in first grade? Keep asking that question. Don't just sit there and try and be a great judge about what's a grade 2 and a grade 1, and every week sit there and have ongoing discussions about whether it was worthy or not worthy. It's the system which has got to change. They need to have 2 replacements for people who can't play because they're knocked out due to concussion. Now, no one was knocked out due to concussion yesterday, and the only one that was Burton, and he should have been taken off, potentially. But we'll leave it with the doctors. So if you're disadvantaged because you lose a player to concussion, and it turns out it was from a head knock, a head contact, you should be able to have a replacement. 2 replacements, I believe. That fixes a lot of issues. No retrospective sin bins, no bunker involvement. If the ref and the touch judges don't see it, it's the judiciary handles it in a match review committee. Like, there has to be some sort of area they draw the line. I felt Josh Curran's, whilst it was not intentional, he's got him with the shoulder to the face. It didn't hurt Payne Huss, though. Didn't hurt him. But yeah, I think. But the sad thing is that he should only be facing a week on the sideline. The reason he's got 3 weeks is because it's the second offence. The first offence was on Jack Gawalski in the trial match, which was the same sort of tackle as Sitili Tupanua. He's the second person. The other defender hits him first. They can't wrap their arm around because they're essentially joined together at the hip. And you tackle with your shoulder. You go to any fucking clinic anywhere in the world, and they say you don't tackle with your arm, you tackle with your shoulder. They actually make you put your fucking arm behind your back, and you get taught to tackle with your shoulder, even around the legs, right? Taught to bring people down with your shoulder at all times. Arms are there for his last resort, right? And now they use it and for the wrestle, but it's a situation where the game's being fucking destroyed, and I need you guys, the fans, to stand up for it. Stop being a sympathiser for this, what is it? It's almost amorphous, like this, thinking about people in getting that disgusting disease, which happens from too many head knocks and stuff and too much brain rattling. People start thinking of that, and then they start, they're going to lose, they're risking too much, they're going to lose their livelihoods. Well, as I say, the people in park footy, the people in New South Wales Cup, the people in Jersey Flag, all these kids are going to cop these contacts in rugby league, and nothing's going to happen with that, right? No one will be held accountable. There'll be no penalty half the time. And I will say, the ref will see things. A lot of the time, the ref does actually see some stuff, and they're just waiting for the bunker to confirm it. So you take the bunker out of it, they will give penalties for high contact, and some they'll get right and some they'll get wrong. And I can live with that. And they'll sin bin some players rightfully, and there'll be some inconsistency still, for sure. But there'll be a lot less sin bins, and there'll be a lot less stopping the game, and there'll be a lot less of this, carry on about we've got to protect the game of rugby league. We've got to protect mothers and fathers from seeing this sort of stuff because they won't want their kids to play. Well, it's always been the case. You're gonna cop it in the head if you play footy. It's just the way it is. Not to mention everywhere else you're gonna cop it. So I think these idiots running the fucking game at the moment. And what pisses me off more is the silence. It's hard for Gus because he's in the job with Canterbury, and he sort of had to go silent on it. It's like everyone's been hushed and threatened, and it's really annoying. I need the fans to stand up and say, influencers, people who are out there, need to start understanding that they're not fixing anything by destroying the contest in the game. They're not fixing anything. They never will. It's just another thing for them to talk about and for people to whinge about every single week. So until they create situations where victims of the head contact aren't penalised, until they make a situation where they're not sin binning players for two defenders standing there, one going low. You got a lot of times it's a 3-tackle thing as well, where you got one going low who half the time they knock their own head trying to do that, as we saw what happened with Burton. Then you got the other two in a block formation. As the player gets hit and he starts to drop a bit, the shoulder hits him in the face. Like, it shouldn't be a penalty, let alone a friggin' sin bin. And as I said, it doesn't happen in any other game where there's no camera. So if it's going to happen in other games, why can't it happen in first grade? Because they can't avoid. If they could avoid it, they wouldn't be doing it. I know a lot of players out there's not too many players that deliberately want to smash people in the face anymore. It's just not the way things are done. There's no Les Boyds running around anymore who literally would target people's jaws to break them. They just target other parts of the bodies, livers, kidneys, How far away is Sam Hughes from returning? Sam Hughes will be back in round 12, according to Gus on Twitter today. Round 12, you already answered it. And actually, Jimmy sent me that message. So that's how I knew. If the boys learned anything last night, it's that they should throw the ball around like they did in the second half. If they started to do that early, it could have been a different result. Yeah, well, I can agree with that. But at the same time, you've got a situation where they earned the right to do that because they were started to win the yardage game. Tracy's catching the footy on the 20-metre line on the full and running back to the 40. We did that about 5 sets in a row, and it started from the very first set of the second half. We won the yardage struggle. And because the refs stayed out of it, we'll then be able to play some footy and get on their outside and expose their defence quite easily. So I don't think there's too many issues with our attack, and we didn't really have to unearth anything. We made some second phase play. We got some offloads happening. And then Montoya was obviously really struggling by that time. And you got to remember, your wingers are doing the most work nearly of anyone in the game. So obviously they don't tackle. They don't have to tackle as much. But as far as the amount of running they got to do, it compares. And without the ball as well, like they do a lot of running, Tough sport. And they're getting hammered all day by the biggest blokes on the field. So I can handle a winger dropping a couple of balls on a wet night, chasing points with 8 minutes to go when you're 16 points down. I can handle that. It's annoying, frustrating, but the pass was meant for Sherry, I believe, in the last 10 minutes, too far forward for the Monty. Yeah. G'day, Azars. I know he isn't the only thing to blame. We probably would have lost last night regardless, but what's our record now of Sutton as a ref? It is 6% since 2015, since he had a bottle thrown at him. Since he gave that game to the Rabbits. And it's not about the last play, because I think he has to make that decision. It was how he brought the Rabbits into that game. The 8-point try, the the Tolman getting penalised on the 5th tackle on about 4 occasions. He controlled that game. We were on top. We were dominant, and we should have won it by a lot. And I can't really blame the team because the way that the ref had 2 different opinions on the ruck for the 2 different colours of sides that were out there. And I'll never forget it, and I've watched the game numerous times. Because I don't mind watching games where I watch our team dominate an opposition, even if you end up losing or whatever. I've watched the last year's semi-final numerous times because I like the way we went about playing that game. And I don't blame Reid Marnie for the loss. But he had some moments which didn't help. As did a few other players. I'm also look at the player that's, let the fatigue hit them and they just haven't been able to get themselves up off the floor to get him back into the space that's then created the issue for the next 2 or 3 plays, which has allowed them to get on the front foot. That's the stuff. That's where the game's won and lost. It's how you can prevent your opposition team from being in the spaces they want to be and slowing them down from being able to be on the front foot. Because as rugby league shows you, teams that play off the front foot inevitably win and everyone looks great. You get to a situation where you're off the back foot, all of a sudden your halfback isn't the best halfback in the world. And that's why I say Nathan Cleary can't leave the game of rugby league because he hasn't dominated Origin. So until I can see him do stuff that like Darren Lockyer did in Origin, where Queensland would look under the pump and all of a sudden he's making a line break or throwing a ball which got Queensland on the outside, not us. I'm not a Queenslander. What I've seen Cleary do is just methodically, when playing off the front foot, make his tackles, pin perfect kicks, do everything really well, and then get it done from there. But yeah, I'm going off track. Appalling conditions. G'day, Giuseppe. In the presser, Ciro said 2 to 3 guys lacked intent last night. Wonder who they were. Seems like Marnie was one. I think 2 or 3. I don't know if he said did he say lacked intent or did he say that they were a little bit off? Because that's different. Marnie had intent when he ran out of the line. He played as an individual and he had intent to smash Willison. Willison saw him coming, put some footwork on him, and the try was scored. I don't think there was a lack of intent. I think there was a lack of concentration at a couple of times. Jacob Preston, I've got him up on my wall, but he's not to be protected from criticism. When I see a synopsis that says he was one of our best, well, over the 80 minutes, he probably was. But he still made an error like other people did, which cost us big time. And I'm not here to criticise individuals. I'm here to just talk about what happened on the night. Yet when I read posts where there's this fella, he's probably a good bloke and loves Canterbury as much as I do, talking about what the Bulldogs' weaknesses are and how they were exposed tonight. And he essentially just put a target on Marnie, Sexton and Connor Tracy. Now, if they're our weaknesses, why do we win 6 in a row? because we wouldn't have won it if one of them had an off night. I can tell you that much. Now, if you're talking about on the night they were exposed at different times, yes, maybe, but so what? If you're going to be good at anything, it's about knowing what your weaknesses are and knowing how to try and turn them into strengths. And yeah, I think some people just need to leave the coaching to the bloody ref. Sorry, to the ref, to the coach, me included, probably. It was worrying we couldn't stop the bleeding the whole half. Yeah, but then again, they got a leg up 4 times, 4 piggyback penalties. And then I think we had 3 or 4 6 agains, which were off the first tackle, which is just another way that they even up the scoreboard. It's deliberate. It happens too often. Yeah, it was hard to stop that bleeding because we were fatigued. We had only 12 men for 20 minutes of the half, and everything was going right for the Broncos. Like, as I said, as you've seen, the 40-20s, we do a charge down, they get possession again, and then they just got to throw it left to score after we've been defending the whole game in those conditions. It was just very, very difficult. And they nearly executed everything they did. Like, the line breaks ended up being, 4-3 at the end of the day. You don't blame Montoya for being inside. He's defending where he's supposed to defend. It was just the speed of play, the balls, and when you do that, your edges are going to be outnumbered for a start, so they compress. So you kick over the top. It's choices of a halfback, and the good ones choose it right. And Reynolds chose the right option, for 40 minutes, 100% of the time. So what can you do? I felt the pass from Carrigan to Huss was forward. For the Adam Reynolds try too, but that's just me. Trainer's interference didn't help. No, it didn't, Scotty. Yeah, we all miss Husey. It was a real stop-start sort of game. I thought our whole bench changed the momentum of the game either side of half-time. Yeah, you're right in that, Timmy. They did a good job. They did a very good job. And look, the ball wasn't in play. I think it ended up being, 26 minutes to 22 minutes. We like to keep the ball in play a lot longer. There was just too much stop-start, and the coach was right. It was annoying. It was frustrating. How did you see the knee incident? It was silly. There's the onus on the defender in that situation. Well, I think his knee's raised pretty high, but Brendan Piakura is down low. Look, I think it was a valid penalty, and look, they didn't sin bin Satilli for his shoulder and sin binned him for that. I would have been a lot more agreeable with that outcome. In that situation, it just looks really bad. It does look really bad. It's sort of like the Reece Walsh getting knocked out by Suoliti. If you do certain actions, a lot of things can go wrong. And he lifted that knee. There's no doubt. It was lifted a little bit higher. I've watched it a few times now, and but it's one of those ones. They're like, oh, is there some mitigating circumstances? They probably said yeah because Piakura was down pretty low, but for that to happen, and then the next play for Montoya to be standing there and kick out to go low, and the fella falls into the shoulder of Montoya, to call that a repeated infringement, sin bin, is absolutely fucking disgraceful. And that's where the corruption is exposed at its greatest point. Jimmy, I've changed. Satilli, he's gone from Brainlet back to Jimmy. There we go. Oh, is that right? I don't know. Satilli's knee looked pretty bad on replays. It's a hard one. Didn't look good, Timmy. At regular speed, though, the tackler made a poor decision to go low. Yeah, probably did. He's put his head into a bad spot. If it hits him on the hip, it doesn't matter. But he's collected him with the knee. And I think in those situations, they thought there was mitigating circumstances there to get 2 weeks for it. Well, if the club doesn't believe Satilli's raised his knee in that instance, they could fight that charge. But I think they're going to say, yeah, you got to be careful there. And there's a bunch of players who do it, and they go fly very close to the win. And Satilli Tupanua is all arms and legs. Like he's a very awkward customer, and he does gallop along. So I think it's a little. I don't think it was necessarily deliberate, but he was bracing for the contact, and his knee went high. So yeah, it does look worse when it's slowed down. That's what I mean. It really looks bad, and I can understand the semantics of that and not wanting that in the game. And the way I look at it, though, is what could have Satilli done differently as opposed to the defender? And I think he's raised his knee a bit higher than he needed to, and that's, for me, means there is some avoidable stuff that could be done. Whereas, and I might be wrong about that point, but that's just what I think. And where you've got that creeping into that decision, where what can you do differently that doesn't really change anything? It's the same as putting your forearm up and your bumpers up. Tino does it in a way. First time he ran the ball at Belmore in round 2, he should have been penalised. He raised his bumper up higher than he needed to, with intent to protect himself and hurt and harm the defender, and he did it. All right. I don't think he needs to do that in that same way, and I sort of align that with what Satilli did. The 3 defensive sets to start the second half got the team back in the game. 100%, Timmy. That's what I mean. When people sit there and go, "Oh yeah, Broncos shut down," well, we come out and we got to work and we got ourselves back into the game, and we did get it. They believe they could still win that game. No one gave up. They didn't give up, and that's all you can hope. I've seen our team give up before. We're not there. We're not at that point. They chased. And I don't believe they were completely dominated by the opposition forward pack. I just believe the opposition forward pack, and you combine that with 2 of the most experienced halves in the game that have all played at the highest level, played multiple grand finals, that sort of shit. Well, what you're talking about is a side that just executed everything perfectly. And we didn't give them the opportunity with the way we played in the second half. We ran harder, we tackled harder, we ran stronger, and we earned our field position, and we made them pay for it. And that's why I walked out of there not feeling as bad as I would have. If the last try didn't happen, I would have felt a lot better. But anyway, Ciro, that game gave me a ball ache. Yeah, that was good, eh? A ball ache. I thought he said belly ache, but anyway, he did it. Renault's busted today. He sure is. Welcome, Brad. What I noticed was the errors we made in the first half was too damaging. Can't give their boys all that possession and not expect them to come away with points. 3 sin bins, it's really unheard of. Yeah, it doesn't happen too often. But Sutton likes to make it all about him, doesn't he? Yeah. Drop the footy. Play one out into rush out of the defensive line so early in the game. And then, a bit of momentum, piggyback penalties. It just didn't happen for us. Just didn't happen. Broncos record not much better at a core stadium. We'll get another crack at them after our third bye. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, man. Really looking forward to it. Because, I knew they were going to come out tough. And I expected us to weather it. And I strongly believe, and here's the thing, be careful what I say. I believe if we don't, even after dropping that ball, if Reed has that time over again, doesn't rush out, I don't think they score that point. And if they don't score at that point, and even if they get a repeat set and we hold them out for a bit longer, and can change the whole perspective of the game completely, and we get the opportunity to take things out. But they just got to be on the front foot from the opening whistle, and from there on, it was catch up and not good. And we didn't even really get to compete in that first half. We barely even got to set. It was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. G'day, Gav. Welcome to the podcast, mate. It was a tough watch last night. Anything that could go wrong the first half did go wrong. First game this year where we had no possession. There you go. Welcome, JD. You've missed a fair bit, buddy. We've had a good chat, and I'm glad you're coming on and said hello, mate. Welcome back again. Feel free to go back and watch it from the start. Jimmy, we played the first half, 30 minutes a man down, very hard, especially in the conditions. Everything that could go wrong, it did go wrong. It's a tough sport that's not for everyone. That's it, Scotty. Love it. Les Boyd was a psychopathic menace. He sure was. And I used to give it to him. So he's from Cootamundra, and my mum didn't mind him. But I remember him playing for, playing first grade in Group 9 when he went back to the bush. He didn't stay in the NRL or the New South Wales Rugby League for too long, actually. Aussie guy, welcome. Late last year, we won with Jared Sutton as ref. It was his way. Oh. It was his way to cover his butt. Can't pin that loss on one player. No, we shouldn't. Shouldn't do it ever. But a lot of people do. He said some players are playing for themselves, not the team. Yeah, well, that's what I said. When I said, yeah, and I think when you make an individual decision to rush out of the line when the team defence was for him to run up together, that's an individual play. And there was a few different things like that where they didn't stick to the process. Yeah, some people don't understand. We play 30 minutes with 12 players, but the wet weather got us to make silly mistakes. One of those games, the domino effect doesn't stop until half time. Couldn't have said it better myself. The whole team was responsible for that performance last night. That's right. You go in as a team, you lose as a team. Surely CT didn't realise that 40-20 wasn't one. He seemed to let it roll over. The third one, yeah. That didn't help. He's been absolutely superb, Connor Tracy, for 2 seasons in a row. So there you go. Michael, welcome, Mike. Second half is a lot better. We bounce back next week. That's the way, brother. Yeah, and the ref truck speed was way off yesterday. He made us get up way too fast. Well, it ended up being 3.61 seconds each. And look, Sutton has a way of putting teams out of reach and then evening up the ledger in ways where it doesn't actually get you, the damage is done sort of thing. And I really felt that with the penalties he gave to the Brisbane Broncos, especially when we're down to 12 men. And I made this call on the other podcast. So I was like, in our last 2 victories, where it's like the referee felt sorry for our opposition because they just had things go wrong and they had no bench and they were tired and whatever else. They were just allowed to lay all over us, which is true, and slow us down, which made it which enabled them to get numbers in the line and keep defending. We weren't afforded any of that. Of course not. And the fact is, the Dogs just keep getting up. There's no excuses in that team. None. Leave the coaching to the ref. Seriously, Jared Sutton is NRL coach because Mr. Didn't mean it, mate. Sorry about that. Yeah, we can go again next week. That was a dirty shot, that knee. It was a bad one. He could have really hurt Pukura. Yeah, potentially, bud. I think he raises it slightly, and with the way Pukura's gone in, it's created the perfect storm for a really bad outcome. And you have to hold Satili mainly responsible for raising the leg, and also Pukura needs to put his head into a better spot. Yeah, mate, I had to line up the names. I remember Tino running with the raised elbow last year. Yeah, he did it. He did it you go watch the round 2 game this year, his first run, puts the bumpers right up. We gave it a crack. We certainly did. Madge is a good coach. Yeah, he's all right. I think there was a lot of, some would say Reynolds is the coach of the Broncos. They used to say that when Kevy was there. And I can tell you now, they did a lot of homework on Tracy, a lot of homework on where they need to be on the field and where they were going to make things happen. And, Billy Wald was a 4th play, 40-20, out of nothing, just got them cranking. It was like, yeah, they went after that game early and they got it. They stole it. Cooter boy, Mr. Bean was Sean Hampstead. He sure was. Tino on one occasion hit Marnie in the throat. He sure did, Timmy, and he should have been sent off for it. Instead, we lose a player for 5 weeks for an eye gouge when he just put his hand over like that. And then they let people off who actually stuck fingers into eyes and hurt the person. I remember too much. Way too much. I got Dragons to Savo. Yeah, I don't know who to go for here. The Dragons piss me off now. Shane Flanagan is the coach. A few Bulldogs there. Don't want to see him succeed, but I normally barrack for them to beat the Roosters every Anzac Day. Because it's like, I don't know. Interesting. But it is going to be difficult, this whole thing, because these players are very important to us. Satili Tupanua, Josh Curran, and Matty Burton. And Burton's had this real disruptive start to the year now when he was actually flying. And he struggled a bit last night, and I think the head knock didn't help. But he had some nice runs in the game too. You've got to remember that. So he's going to miss a week, so he'll be back for the Raiders game in Canberra. We won't get Curran back until after the Roosters game. Yeah, so it's an interesting period. And a lot of our, Jack Todd going down and Sam Hughes is out. We're starting to become thin in our depth. So Moran gets his chance to come back and be a part of the 17. I'm sure of it. And we get to see young Bailey Hayward back there on the left edge. Not too many changes. I don't think Montoya is going to be in any issues after that game. And again, if people want to blame him for the loss, they're fucking idiots. I'll just say that. Timmy says he's got the Roosters. After Coach Robbo had a whinge about the refs last week, they'll get the rub of the green and all the 50-50s. Well, it's funny, Timmy, because statistically, Roosters are the most penalised team over the last decade or longer. But that's because they cheat. They deliberately give it. That's why they actually brought in the crackdowns on the multiple infringement sin bins because of the Roosters giving away penalties on their own line. Don't have to run back into defence, can set their wall on the try line and just keep giving penalties away and pushing the envelope until teams stuff up or whatever else. It was actually them who created that multiple infringement stuff. And they were also part of the reason they went with 6 agains. They were one of the teams best at causing penalties, which just takes momentum out of the attack. They brought in the 6 again so people could keep their momentum and not be pulled down by penalties. And a lot of teams would exploit it at different times, but the Roosters were the pioneers of it. So there you go. Anyone in Fanzo tipping comp? I'm not Scotty. I try not to tip. I really try not to tip because it means that I have to be dedicated to every bloody rugby league game out there. And it sometimes makes it less enjoyable because you're tipping one team, but you don't want them to win. I don't know. That's just me, mate. I usually go in with a predetermination of who I want to win a match. And it's usually got nothing. It's more to do with how I feel or what we need as a club as far as the ladder goes. So yeah, don't want to tip with my mind on who should win, and then get it wrong half the bloody time anyway. Bloody annoying, drives me nuts. But that's just the old man in me speaking. But people, looking ahead, I think we saw an insight into the future with Bailey Hayward. I think you're going to hear a lot more about Reid Marnie in the coming weeks, unfortunately. Hopefully not. But yes, I think Bailey did a really good job last night, especially at hooker. That was, but for him, how long can he go defending in the middle and throwing balls off the deck without stuffing it up and putting us on the front foot? Because Reid Marnie's one of the best at it in the comp. And there's a reason why he's been included in discussions to replace Harry Grant should he not be fit for Origin. Yeah, so and deservedly. So yeah, I hope Reid Marnie's with us for at least the next couple of years until the end of his contract, and hopefully earns another one with us because I am very grateful for what he's done for our club, and coming to our club was very, very important in the rebuild and getting the fans back, giving the fans some hope, giving us some a player that goes out there and puts his body in front of the biggest man on the field. And did you see the way he tackled Payne Huss and then forced the next error? Like, for people to sit there and say he was shit last night when looking at his whole game, I don't know what planet you're from. But you can definitely talk about the first play of the game cost us big time. Sure. Yeah, it did. He tried to make up for it when he got back out there. So well done to him. Timmy says there's an upset. Which game will it be? I noticed Ruben Moore's name to start tomorrow. Is he someone they could include in the top 30? I will present some stuff for you guys. And look, while I'm here, we might as well go a few more minutes, have a look at some stats, and have a look at the top 30 and players that can come into the squad. So let's have a look. I'll make it bigger. So development players for the Bulldogs. We've got Alatini, who's playing SG ball. Flegg, probably playing some Ron Massey. Hopboy, whose development this year and goes into top 30 for next year. Geordie Mazzoni, cover on the wing. Joey O'Neill, Logan Spinks has been playing SG ball and Jersey Flegg. Jonathan Sewer is playing winger and centre in New South Wales Cup. And young Patrick Young, who's had some good moments in Flegg and SG, in Jersey Flegg. They've only got Jack Todd as the only injury, which is ridiculous because it's also Jake Turpin and Samuel Hughes. So they need to update their bloody thing. I think Sion Mau is in the top 30. Where is he? Yeah, he's top 30. So he could come in. But I'm hearing he's behind pretty much most of the players, including some of our development players. Just struggling to get things happening at the moment is Zion, but he's had a crack in some games. Hopefully he'll have a good game off the bench for New South Wales Cup this week. So Curtis Moran will definitely be there. Saluka Fafita will be there for sure. And I think it'll be Lipboy Hotboy will join the squad. Now, Jack Underhill, I don't know if that's true that he goes to top 30 next year, but I hope it is. So there you go. Nari Tuala should be back soon, so he'll start getting a run in New South Wales Cup, you would think. And yeah, that's how it's going to crumble for the next couple of weeks. It will. Lipboy's the one who's got to come in. So let's watch him in New South Wales Cup against the Panthers. I think that's Saturday or Sunday, which will be a top of the table clash, because I think we're a top team in Cup, regardless of where we are or finish. I think there's a lot of talent in that squad, and that'll be a good game. Off contract for next year, Drew Hutchison, Curtis Moran, Toby Sexton, Daniel Salukafita, Blake Taft, Jake Turpin, and Blake Wilson. Rumours, Josiah Pahulu, which that rumour is apparently no longer a rumour, or no longer, he's apparently not coming to us. And they haven't got the signing there for next year of the young fella from the Dragons. And I might probably do a feature on him, just to have a look at him and look at some of his videos and see what we're in for. But yeah, he was wonderful in the SG Ball Grand Final. Dismantled our stacked Bulldog side last year. So one of the big reasons that contributed to their success. Let's present the stats from last night, just to give ourselves another bit of pain. So let's go. So 7 tries to 3. They scored in the first, 8th, 11th, 17th, 27th, and 31st minutes. I want to forget the 79th minute one. We earned it all through Montoya, Preston, and Cherry. So that was really strong. That was really good. Sin bins, Dean Mariner in the 72nd minute. Josh Curran, Tupanua, and Montoya. Team stats: possession 56 to 44. Time in possession 26 minutes to 22, which is really low. Completions, they got 83%. 75%. If we get it up to 80, we probably bridge that gap a bit further. They had 40 more runs in with the ball. There's still only 185 runs in the game. 1,500 meters, to 1,200. The half time, it was a lot worse than that. Their post contact was always going to be tough to deal with, especially with that possession. Line breaks 4 to 3. A lot more tackle breaks than we made. Average set distance was a much bigger gap in the first half than what we got in the overall. We definitely made some good ground on that, and obviously, we'll kick him for them, and they were able to make some ground off the return. Play the ball speed ends up being the same. They had 10 offloads to our 7. We really didn't get a chance to play with the footy and do some stuff until we were chasing the game. And we didn't earn the right in the first half at any point to actually set things up and play some footy. So it was very difficult from that point of view, and that's the context of the game. A lot more kicks from them with the possession. 4 forced dropouts to 2. We put 4 bombs up. They just did a good job. They only had 10 missed tackles for the match. But in saying that, we got around them a couple of times where they didn't miss tackles. We just played well with the yardage, stripped them for numbers, and made it happen. They did that to us though, but it was much different circumstances. Negative play, we conceded 8 penalties. They conceded 8. See what I mean? He makes it look like, you give the Bulldogs some ruck infringements in a row on the first tackle, and then you give them penalties at different times when the game's gone. Outside of you get one early. That's it from Sutton. 3 sin bins to 1. And the annoying thing was, they got to have a couple of players with head injury assessments, which is also a free interchange for them. So yeah, not good. Player stats, they Payne Huss and Patrick Carrigan have 52 hit-ups between them. Dogs, it wasn't a pretty sight. They got it back in the second half, and their back three got to work and started to make some good ground. Tracy he didn't really get, he's made most of those metres in the second half. They all did, actually. There wasn't many metres to be made in that first half, I can tell you. Birdo had a few good runs. Toby's running game wasn't there last night. King battled on hard. He tried his best. They cut down his post-contact, though. Come up against the 2 best in the comp, and they lost the fight. Simple as that. Doesn't mean they're not good. Doesn't mean that they're not a top 8 forward pack. Doesn't mean that they're not in contention for Origin. But, yeah. And what helped was the overall way that the game went against us. They just couldn't really get into the game properly at all. Kikau, I felt he had a pretty good game, to be honest. I felt he tried really hard again, which is normal. Presto, it's hard. Harry Hayes, good job, worked his ass off. And Bailey Hayward, some great passing, good tackling. So yeah, it was just one of those days, guys. Missed tackles. King didn't miss any. Oh, he missed 3. I was reading the wrong one. But look, Toby had to make 36 tackles. Burton only had to make 7. So they just peppered our right edge all night. And I talked about it. They peppered it. Willison just ran at Toby all night. 36 tackles, 3 missed, 2 ineffective. And that takes away from your ability to make to kick and to do all that good stuff. So they play well. Critter did a lot of tackling, 19, the most of the back line. Outside of Toby, of course. Maxi made heaps. Presto made heaps. They don't like running a Kurt, man. I can tell you that much. Harry and Bailey Hayward worked their ass off. Like, there's still some good stuff in that game, guys. Still some good stuff. Timmy says Jack Todd and Jack Underhill got re-signed at the same time. Yeah, Todd's top 30 already, so he got a 2-year extension. And Underhill, I didn't think he was coming into. Pardon me. I didn't think he was coming into first grade until maybe like 3 years, like as part of the top 30. I thought there was going to be development for next year and that sort of stuff. But we'll see how it all pans out. But we've got the signing of young Latu Finau, so I'll do a feature on him this week. There'll also be, got Leo Thompson coming. So it's going to be interesting to see how things are going to develop over the next few weeks. But don't be surprised to hear some negative stuff coming out about us and how our attack shit and our forward pack's too small, all that sort of stuff that they resort to. And what shits me are the fans within our club. I love that they're fans and that's great. But why do you wait for every loss to come chat on social media? Like, do you feel is winning the easiest thing to do? Like, winning the games of rugby league is the hardest thing, right? Yet they come out every time there's a loss. You don't hear from them unless we lose. Start telling everyone who sucks and who doesn't, and who we need and who we don't. It's like, fuck, who raised you? Anyway, fuck the haters and fuck the Broncos. Did you like that? I shouldn't swear. I swore too much last night. It was pretty disgraceful, actually. I apologised to my daughter afterwards. She goes, I was swearing just as much. I'm like, I didn't even realise because I was swearing. So I'm like, I'm the worst dad in the bloody world. Give myself an uppercut. But thanks for coming and saying hello, everyone. It's been a real pleasure. And remember, this is nothing compared to what this day is all about, which is the servicemen and women who sacrificed it all for us. You know, no matter what the circumstances or what was actually happening, they're the values and the reasons that they did it. They did it to protect their future, their legacy, their kids, their families, and the future families and kids of every generation. So thank you very much to all of them. Have a great day, everyone. Yeah, everyone enjoy the rest of the day, and thanks for watching, and I will see you all soon. Go the Dogs.